Tav and I have been running this channel for a year now, and we've kind of just done the same thing, backpack and travel gear reviews. But we thought to ourselves like, hey, let's mix up the content a little bit. Let's get to know our community a bit more. So we're gonna be doing a series of new videos, and one of which is just kind of telling our story, telling the Aaron story and telling the Nomads Nation story in general. And if you guys like dig this kind of content, let me know, because if you just want backpack reviews, we're gonna stick to the backpack reviews. But if you're like, hey, this is kind of fun, then ask us more questions in the comments, because then we'll answer your questions in future videos. So taking it from the top, I am from the United States. I'm from a state, Florida. Go Heat. I grew up working in restaurants. I quit college when I was young because I had one goal in my life, and that was to travel. It was beyond an obsession. It took over every part of my body, and I had to see every last inch of the world that I possibly could. And also around the same time, when I was around 20 and I started to travel, I also got into the other most important thing in my life, which is digital marketing. I started my first blog. And that blog is Nomads Nation, a website that still runs to this day. So I started Nomads Nation almost 10 years ago. But even though I started blogging, that doesn't mean you start making money blogging. The whole thing about making money online is it takes a long time for things to kind of get into motion and for that income to actually start coming in. So in the meantime, I waited tables in Denver, Colorado. I sold golf coupons door to door in Los Angeles. I worked on a farm in Portugal for 4 months. And then I traveled to Hong Kong, fell in love with it, and decided to stay here and get a job teaching English. Teaching English in Hong Kong is kind of awesome in some ways and it sucks in other ways. It sucks because I didn't want to be a teacher. It was a means to an end. But it's awesome because the jobs are available, the pay is pretty good, and the hours are not too bad. You end up working like 30 hours a week. And this enabled me to make a paycheck, reinvest some money back into my projects, and have the time to focus on those projects. And it was at this time that Tav and I met. When I moved to Hong Kong, my best friend Bernie lived here, and he was living in a neighborhood called Chung Sha Wan. And Chung Sha Wan is known for being like super local, and it's got rats like the size of a pig, dude.
So true.
Dude, the biggest rats in Hong Kong. You know what I'm talking about? So that's where we met. We were roommates, and my friend Bernie moved out, and Tav and I lived together for, I don't know, how long was it, man? Like a year plus? We were just like one big family living in Hong Kong and kind of doing our own thing, but we always had this cool like respect for each other. After a few years, things really started to take off for me on Nomads Nation and my other online projects. So I was able to fulfill my dream of being a digital nomad, living wherever I wanted, whenever I wanted. Up until this point, I had traveled to probably 40 countries, I would say. But then I left Hong Kong and I went to probably another like 10 or 15 more countries. But I did a different type of travel, a very slow type of travel. Before, I was just like a backpacker, 3 days in the Czech Republic, 2 days in Poland, 1 day in England, just bouncing around, couldn't get enough. But then I transitioned to like a slower type travel, which meant staying in one location for longer periods of time so I could work, get into a routine, and get done. I spent 3 months in Mexico City, 4 months in Medellin, 6 months in Chiang Mai. But ultimately, I ended up coming back to Hong Kong because, I fell in love. Now it's funny because I had this idea in my head to start a YouTube channel doing just backpack reviews. So I invited Tav out for beers one night and I told him the idea. And I think a couple days later, we jumped right into it. If you watch our first video, what was it, the Tortuga Outbreaker? Yeah, that was the first one. It's not that great. But we had this idea of doing the reviews all outside, like with the gear, in the zone, right? Out in the wild. And it was good, but it was hard. It was hot summer days, there was sweats, like it was grueling, but we stuck with it. And then I got kicked out of the country. Me and my now fiance, we were coming back through Hong Kong immigration after a couple days in Phuket, Thailand, chilling, and Hong Kong immigration said, Aaron, you cannot come back in. You have spent too much time here as a tourist. F off. So I did. I didn't have a choice, right? And I had to break the news to Tav, and I'm like, dude, I cannot come back into the country. And we were just starting the channel. We were just ready to give all we had in our spare time to this. So I went to Vietnam, into Ho Chi Minh City, and Tav stayed in Hong Kong. Boris, Love you, dude. Miss you. Hope you're doing well. Boris was a freelance videographer, Russian freelance videographer who just left Shenzhen, China, was living in Ho Chi Minh. And we sort of created like a triangle ecosystem where Boris shot, I was on camera, and then we sent it to Tab to edit. It was really fun back in those days. You know, we made it work. It was tough, but we knew that we wanted to get this content out there and really see how it performed. After 4 or 5 months of that, I was finally able to come back to Hong Kong. Tav and I were reunited, and now here we are 1 year later, and we're just so excited because you guys are here because you believe in us, you are here to watch our journey, and we want to just connect with you guys more and say thank you so much for being behind us throughout this entire process. So yeah, we're just trying this out. Tab's got a couple questions for me. Tab, shoot them, let's go.
Why backpacks, man?
Well, backpacks was never a passion of mine, right? It sort of stemmed from my passion of travel. And I traveled as a backpacker, right? And that was like sort of led me into this new world, and I was like, this is kind of cool, and ended up just becoming an obsession of mine. I'm definitely not a backpack expert by any means, but I'm just a huge backpack enthusiast, and it's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to start this channel.
Okay, can you give me an experience with a backpack? Like a story, something that really you off. That was like, oh man, what?
Well, I can say, like, as I was traveling with the Osprey Farpoint 40, I think the Osprey Farpoint 40 is the perfect, like, first backpacking backpack. But it's also not perfect, right? The way it's built is kind of annoying, like with the laptop compartment being in the front, and it's just like a dangle nightmare. And all these things started to kind of irk me over time, and I started to research other options. And then that's when I fell in love with this industry, because I saw there's a backpack for everyone. You like lots of magnets? I like lots of magnets. You like whatever you want, there's a backpack for you.
So how do you live out of one backpack for a month?
A month? With one backpack. Laundry. Next question.
What?
No. Okay, so like it depends how you travel. Like, are you staying in a location for 3 days or 1 day or 3 months? But like, traveling light for me comes down to one word, and it's laundry. You need to restrict the amount of clothes that you bring and wash them consistently. Typically in Asia or South America, and you find a laundromat and you give them your clothes and say, clean these, please, and then they do, and then you have to do that often, and it does add up in costs, but it's a lifestyle choice, right? It's saying like, carrying less allows you to see more, right? And carrying more inhibits your ability to see more, right? It's just dragging you down, and that's not just like, I think in travel, I think that this is kind of a way to live life. So I try to have minimalism in my everyday life, not just my travels. I don't always nail it. Like, I do like my tech stuff, you know, I like my watches and, you know, the phone and the laptop and all that, but like at the end of the day, to see more, travel with less. And that's just kind of ultimately what travel minimalism is to me.
So what projects are you working on right now?
Well, obviously Nomads Nation is my baby. We've been working on it for a long time, and we have a lot of big plans for where we're going forward, but we are also working on something behind the scenes that's absolutely ginormous. I'm just giving you guys a little tease now, a little taster, but keep an eye out over the next few months, and we're gonna have a really big announcement to make, and that's all that I'm gonna say. Okay guys, like I said, this was just an experiment for us. If you like this type of content and you want to see more of it, hit the like button. That's just clear communication to us that we know that you like this, but also like, if you really like it, ask questions in the comments, because we're also thinking about doing maybe a Q&A if you guys are interested in that. And basically we'll look at the comments, any questions that we have, we'll answer them in like a video, maybe once a month or once a week, depending on what the response is. So let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We always appreciate support, and we'll see you guys next time.